Hello, this is Geneva, and I have come with a Christmas tag. I'm using one of my favorite cutting dies, what they call it, Christmas Cardinal, and I'm also going to use Tattered Pinecone. They're both Bigz dies from Holtz Alterations. Bigz puts them out under his name. We're going to use, I used the new stencil Festive, the new stamps Christmas Nostalgia. I love this stamp set. I'm going to use my corner chompers from Crocodile, the rounded corners, and the scallop / cloud. I'll be using the scallop side and the large rounded corners. Liquid pearls, I think this color is champagne, something along those lines. Going to use some green tinsel embossing powder, Versamark, some dusting powder for my embossing, and some Distress gathered twigs, a small punch, and a distress marker in forest moss. Now the first thing we're going to do, and I used scrap paper for all of this. This is stuff from my stash. And I chose gathered twigs because it went with this paper. Okay, so I'm going to get this design onto the edge at the bottom and the right here, so I don't have to trim it too far. Use painter's tape. Beautiful pattern on here. This is, I like Victorian rather than grunge, so that's why my things done with distress look more, I don't know, girly, as my husband would say. Now, I am just pouncing and giving it just the tiniest bit of a twist to make sure I get down inside the pattern. I'm going to try not to get this on too dark. It is can be the background after all. Okay, that ought to do it. Pretty that is. I'm going to clean up my I am really good at losing my towel. There it is. Now I'm just going to spritz this with water and wipe it off. If I do it now, it'll come nice and clean, it won't stain, and that color won't be there to surprise me on my next project when I use the stencil. Okay, so I'm all done with that. It's all cleaned up. Wipe. Okay, now the next thing is to cut this down. It'll be 3 3/8 by about 7. I'm going to do the 7 first. always cut towards you. Less likelihood of your paper dancing around and you end up with a squiggly line instead of a straight one. 3 3/8. Okay. Now I'm going to use my corner chomper. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch side on the bottom. I'm going to use the scallop on the top. Now the next thing is to just go around the edge. And I'm using a relatively heavy hand. Alrighty. Okay. Now I'm going to punch my hole in the top to put string or ribbon through. I'm going to use the large size, which is what, 3/16 it said. And I want about a 1/2 inch between the bottom of this hole, or the top of the hole, and the top of the tag. Okay, now the next thing is to make a protective ring there, reinforcement. Okay, scrap of paper and punch another hole, same size. Now you're going to take a small, I think this is a 1/2 inch, it might be 3/4. We'll measure it as soon as I'm done. Find the center. Okay, it measures, outer circumference is about 5/8. 5/8 across. Okay, now I'm going to take my distress marker, and coming from the back side, because if you come down from the front, you have more of a chance of marking up the front than if you do this from behind. Glue that down. Reinforced, and I have another one that I'm going to put on the back that I made earlier. Now you may want to cut a second tag and put it, just white or whatever color paper, and just put it on the back, because I have yet to find a way to keep it clean. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is put on the liquid pearls. And then we'll set that aside to dry. And I'm just going to do the berries. And not a very thick layer at that, just enough to cover the brown. this does not have to be perfect. There's going to be enough going on with the other things that other elements that I put on here that this background doesn't need a lot more. I am going to put the cinnamon on before I attach the bird. And of course you could take this and just do highlights or another color, you know, anywhere you like. Okay, set this aside for now. And now I've already cut, I cut 2 of the Christmas cardinals out of 40-point chipboard that I pick up at Michael's. You could do maybe a couple of layers of cereal box, maybe 3, but since this overhangs, I want to make sure that it would resist being damaged. So, the first thing I'm going to do is glue these 2 layers together. Now, I went to my scraps and I found a piece of pattern paper that I thought would make a nice branch. So I'm going to, once again, I'm going to take my my distress marker, and you know, it's not required that you ink the edges. I'm going to leave the natural colored chipboard just the color it is, and this would certainly just blend in. But, you know, to each his own personal taste and desires. And again, do this from the back so you don't, you have less risk of marking up the face of your paper. You're taking chances right there. You'll notice that my camera view is different. I finally figured out a way to get my camera overhead. You know, it only took me a couple of years, right? But I had to find a way to do it using what I had on hand. And I just sort of had an epiphany yesterday. It of course involved rearranging my entire craft room. But I ended up with not only my camera overhead, looking straight down, I also ended up with more room. So it was a good thing to have finally figured out. Okay. You know, I've created this as a tag, but you could certainly quite easily turn it into a card just by adding a back to it that opens up. Could do, double duty as not only a gift tag but a card, or just be a really interestingly shaped card. Okay. Okay, so I found some red paper, and it had a bit of greenery as part of its border, so I just laid the die so it cut the cardinal like that. I think it's cool. That's why I did it again. So I'm just going to cut the bird off the branch. And throw that away. He'll go right there. Now this has pine cones and two other little branches here, and this pine cone die makes beautiful roses. You just, they're awful pretty. So where are we? Again, I didn't do this last time, and I should have. I cut one layer I cut two of these instead of four. They're only going to be one layer thick. And again, I'm going to use the distress marker to do the edges. I missed it on the cardinal, and I'm not going to go back. So excited about sharing with you guys. I forgot. It's not insurmountable. I could go back with the pen, but I really don't want to mark up the chipboard. I'm just going to leave it its color. I'm not going to open that can of worms of trying to change it. Okay. Got the right side up, or I spread glue everywhere. Okay. I already did the other one. Now I cut 3 pine cones and out looking like this. Now remember, when you roll these, the side that you roll to the inside will be what will mostly be seen. I'm going to take my gathered twigs and go around the outside edge, and I'm going pretty deep. Now, depending on your paper is going to depend on how it's going to react to being rolled up. This particular paper is a little brittle, so I've got to be careful. You can use a twirling tool to get this started. I like my skewers. They seem to be the perfect size. They're just small skewer I picked up in the grocery store. Okay, got it started, and those little jaggeds at the on the inside, as you come to them, fold them in. Just keep rolling. You do a couple of these and you'll have it down. This is not a difficult thing to learn to do. Folding those little spines down gives you a nice solid base for gluing. And speaking of, I had better get my glue gun on. Little things folded over makes a nice square bottom. Okay, now I don't want this tight. I'm going to let it loose a little bit. It's hot enough from using it earlier. It's not. Okay, I'm going to have just to wait a couple of minutes. Okay. Now, I'm not going to open this one up very far. I have 2 others that I've already built for the sake of time, because well, there's my 3 pine cones, roses, whatever they look like to you. Okay, so this is dry. Now I'm going to do my greeting. And I'm going to stamp some decoration on the bottom. So, here's my green embossing powder. Here's my acrylic block. Here is my Merry Christmas, my Versamark. It's nice and gooey. Cleaning my stamp. I'm sorry it's off camera, but I don't want to get any water on the project. And I just do spritz it with water. The only time I use a baby wipe is if, and it's another stamp from the set, is if I've used archival ink on it. And the baby wipe has some ingredient in there that helps get that off as long as you do it right away. Okay. Just because I am such a klutz, I do clean up right away. If I didn't, I would knock this over and it would be everywhere, and I would probably be months getting it cleaned up. Okay. Now, you notice I have a board under here, and that is to protect my my self-healing mat from the heat of my heat tool when I melt this embossing enamel. awesome. Okay, now just to place the bird. Like right there. See how big of a goopy mess you can make. My goodness. What's going to be on there? All right. Next thing is to tuck these in. Thing is to place the pine cones. Some of this to make his beak, some of the liquid pearls, and give him a nice bright eye. And that is all there is to that. Is that not just beautiful? Okay. Y'all have a great day, and I will be back with a card soon. Bye-bye. Okay, I just realized I didn't put the key on there, but obviously because to my eye that it's finished, but the key could certainly be added. I'm not going to. I like it the way it is. If you did not know, I do have the stencil and the stamps available in my eBay store, and the link is on the video. They're also in my online store, and the link is also down in the description. So whichever way you like, if you're interested in having either one of these, and don't. Otherwise, have a great time crafting, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.